And happy International Day of the Girl. This year's theme for the Day of the Girl focuses on the digital generation. And I'm honored to moderate this panel with Commissioner Russell Tucker as we highlight 2 student projects that are positively impacting their communities and are led by young women. So with us today, we have United Sound from Enfield High School, and we have Myla from Cheshire High School. So at this time, I am going to let our inimitable Education Commissioner Russell Tucker to share some brief remarks, and then we're going to begin.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I am excited to be here today with all of you and to learn from the 2 fantastic student groups that you just mentioned. Big thank you to Suchita, representing Myla Plus, as you mentioned, and Olivia and Charlotte, representing United Sound, and I know their teacher, educators here with them, so we're really excited. And thank you for just being here today. It is always wonderful. I know the Lieutenant Governor does as well, to hear from our young leaders like you. You are not leaders for tomorrow, you are leaders of today. And so we're so excited to have you. And you may have heard, or those may be watching have heard, that Connecticut's education theme for this year is infinite possibilities. And I am so inspired by the possibilities your projects have brought to your communities. The 2 projects represented here today came to us from 2 supported state initiatives, the Voice for Change program and the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge. And for the Voice for Change program, for those who don't know, it's a first of its kind statewide civic engagement initiative that empowered high school students to propose and vote on how more than $1.5 million in federal relief funds would be invested to reimagine Connecticut schools. And of course, the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge is a statewide coding competition for Connecticut students, coding designed to inspire students like yourselves to create computing solutions to improve their communities. So just to give you that as a backdrop, and with that, I will turn it back to the Lieutenant Governor so we can dive right in.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you to our panelists for joining us today. Let's start with a question for each of our student groups. And again, the projects are United Sound from Enfield High School and Myla Plus from Cheshire High School. So we're going to ask each group, what was the inspiration or motivation behind your project? And we'll start with United Sound.
So students with unique talents didn't really have a specific music class throughout the day. There's unified sports and I think it's called integrated art, yep. But there wasn't like a specific music class. So we wanted to create that opportunity for those who wanted it.
So since using music as that method, we thought it would be perfect because it's kind of the universal language. A lot of people enjoy music in a lot of different ways, where whether it's making music, listening to music, playing in an ensemble. There's just so many different ways that we can use music to come together as a community. And this is why we thought United Sound would be such a good idea to cater to this thought.
I love that. And how many people are participating?
Well, last year we had 3 new musicians and about 15 peer mentors. This year we are actually going to have 12 new musicians, and we're continuing to build our peer mentors, but we hope to have somewhere between 15 and 20 peer mentors.
Excellent. And so let's go to Myla Plus. What was your inspiration or motivation?
Yeah, so Myla Plus is a domestic violence alerting device. So I created it because domestic violence is a huge issue in the United States. In fact, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence, according to ncadv.org. So these statistics really pushed me to create this device. But my main motivation was when a domestic violence incident actually occurred in my hometown, and the person affected by it was actually a classmate of mine. So this was a few years ago, and seeing this happen so close to home made me realize how big this issue is and how it's important that we create a solution for people who are victims of domestic violence, and it's really important that they get help.
And today, actually, we raised a purple flag above our state capitol building to highlight Domestic Violence Awareness Day. And we were joined by a group of advocates that provide services to victims of domestic violence. And as I think you said, 1 in 4 women unfortunately experience this, and younger women are at greater risk. So we were out talking about that at the Capitol with legislators and advocates and domestic violence survivors on this day. So it is just so appropriate that you are part of this panel. So, Commissioner.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. And who says that our students can't be the leaders, pointing the way? So thank you for that. But as a follow-up, so you've shared your inspiration or your motivation. Could you explain in a little bit more detail about your project? And we'll go back to United Sound to get us started. And I've been there to the program, and I can tell you it's just awesome. But tell us more for those who don't know what this is.
So we have a peer musician mentoring program that teaches students with unique talents how to play instruments. So it's about 2 to 3 mentors per new musician.
And one basically it's one mentor teaching them the music and helping with counting, and another one playing alongside of them, and another could be providing additional support for the learning.
And that's great. And what kind of feedback are you getting from these young musicians in the program?
Go ahead. Well, actually, we included our new musicians in our spring concert, and we thought they did really, really well. They've been really successful with this program, which is really exciting to see. And their parents were very, very excited to hear. One of the new musicians' parents is a part of the staff here at Enfield High School, so he was able to sit in every day and kind of oversee with Mrs. Shell this program, and we thought it was really cool to have him there too.
Yeah, we've had a lot of really positive parent and student feedback. The kids love being able to work with one another, and I can't emphasize enough, it's a peer-to-peer mentoring program. I'm not in front of them, and there's actually two female student leaders that are our chapter presidents, and they're responsible for planning lessons and working with the students, making sure that they have the modifications that they need. And I just strictly sit back, facilitate, and pick the song they're going to play at the concert. But the rest is all student-led.
Wonderful. And I guess the success of your program is in the number of new participants, right?
Yeah.
Last year compared to this year, because what was the increase? It was pretty significant.
Yeah, we went from 3 to 12. So
excellent.
With more kids that want to join, but we just don't have the space where we need to have at least 2 peer musicians or peer mentors with every new musician to make sure that we don't want them just attempting and struggling. We want them to make sure that they're learning, that they're truly learning the instrument and truly getting an authentic musical experience. And in order to do that, we need to have a couple of mentors per kid. So we are limited in that capacity.
Oh, this is great. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, Suchita, some more details on your program?
Yeah, so for legal purposes, I can't go too much into detail, but just to give an overview, Myla Plus, like I mentioned before, is a domestic violence alerting device. So it consists of a mobile application and a hardware device. So the mobile application is where the user enters their profile and contact information. This is done at the start of the process, and they only need to do this once. They can always edit that information though. The hardware device is what detects domestic violence, and when an incident occurs, it alerts the user's contact list using the information that the user entered before in the app, or the police if the user is comfortable with that. So it really does give victims an opportunity for them to reach out to people they're comfortable with knowing about the situation before it goes directly to the authorities. So it gives them that opportunity in case they're afraid, and it just allows them to get the help that they need.
So the next question, I think Myla Plus has the Myla Plus project. We've heard a little bit about this. This is the question. Since our theme is digital, how we are a digital generation and how you are using technology to advance the goals of your project. Myla Plus, anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, so my project is very much ingrained in technology, and it's built using technology. So the hardware device is built using an Arduino technology, which is very easy to use, very user-friendly, and I've been using it for a few years now, so it's a great option for me. And then the mobile app is built using a programming language called Dart using the Flutter software. So technology is really inbuilt in my project, so it's very important.
And I'm just curious, have you had any testers of your technology?
No, not yet. I've been testing my technology, but other than me, I haven't had any other testers to test it out. But I have like worked it out, seen, when an incident occurs, will the contact list be alerted? So it's a working prototype.
Does the technology is it that sensitive that the technology can tell when there's an incident, or does the user have to somehow alert the device?
So both of those options are available depending on the user's, like what they're comfortable with. If they're comfortable with doing it themselves in an incident, then that option is available. If not, the technology will detect domestic violence.
Which that must be very smart technology. Wow. Okay. So United Sound, how do you use technology to advance what you are doing?
So we use it to rewrite like parts for music to like better adjust to the musician's like abilities. So like we'll rewrite it in like a certain phrase. We'll like shorten it down to something that's easier to understand instead of like something that's very complex.
We also have monthly chapter meetings where we meet with other chapters of United Sound virtually via Zoom to discuss what's going well and what their struggles are, and kind of compare and contrast what methods we're using in our class, or at that point it would have been in our club, but now it's going to be in our class. So that's for the presidents.
Yeah, and also during the proposal process, the students, like during the Voice for Change proposal process, the students had to advocate for their project. So there were as many proposals that were approved were able to be presented to the student body, and those proposals were voted on from the student body. So it really is a true inclusive way to get students involved in making change in their school community, which is fabulous. So they had to market and campaign United Sound within the student body. We have about 1,500 students here and about 300 involved in the music program. So to get the other 1,200 kids on board took some legwork. So they did a lot of the advertising utilizing technology. They made campaign posters. They posted it on social media to try to get the word out. And United Sound went up against a video game club and won. So, yes.
Commissioner.
That is awesome. I know I was going to say, yep, you may have a few tips to share about campaigning.
I don't know about all that.
I'm all ears.
And I know they had campaign rules as well. It just made me, tomorrow there's a conference, and part of what we'll be talking about was AI in education. This made me thinking about AI generated technology that you all may be working in. So really important that you're so engaged in this, and we look forward to hearing from your voices as well in that space.
Yeah.
I do have a question. The question is for United Sound. And so did you imagine that the United Sound program would become a part of the regular curriculum when you first started this Voice for Change project? So that's the first question. And second, what was the process like to get it approved, right? Because that's taking it kind of to the next level, getting it approved by by the Board of Education to be a part of the curriculum at the school.
Yeah, so United Sound initially, my initial goal was to bring it into part of the school day. So that was my main focus. So I actually learned of United Sound a couple of years back when it was a new company, and I was teaching at the middle school. They didn't yet have a middle school program, so I was itching to get it involved into the school day, and kind of biding my time for the right opportunity to be able to jump and put it into action. So we went through the whole Voice for Change proposal process where I had 7 students collaborate together. Again, I oversaw, facilitated. Most of the work came directly from the students, and they, looked to see how they researched how United Sound would fall under the categories to qualify it for ESSER funding, which was really fabulous to get kids involved in that component of education. Like I said, they campaigned, they voted on it, it was approved. So after that, once we got our funding, we started really looking at how we could utilize it to make it the most sustainable as possible. Because as we know, like, you can start something up, but if you don't have the money to sustain it, then you're kind of out of luck. So we went through this process of going through what instruments we might want. So the United Sound students actually do not have to pay to rent instruments. We have them all housed directly at the school. We were able to keep the United Sound instruments separate from the general ed ensemble instruments, so there's not any crossing, which is just helpful to keep everything organized on our end. We were invited to be the kind of guests of honor from the superintendent at our Board of Education meeting in January after the club had started. And at that point, we were just starting our proposal, and it was a really nice segue because we brought our new musicians, we brought our peer mentors, our chapter presidents, our music department coordinator, and just kind of let the kids talk and showcase, all of the great things they were doing. After that, I worked with the department coordinator, to really develop a plan, including music education, curricular goals, an outline, the curriculum documentation for the program, what the cost would be, what ideally we would want for numbers, the co-teachers that were involved, so collaborating with the special education department. And then he went and presented it to our Board of Education curriculum committee, which luckily they approved it pretty quickly. So everybody really seemed to be supportive, which was great, because the only additional cost to the school is the $25 registration fee per student. And we actually this summer, our local community theater did a fundraiser during their summer performance to help us offset that cost, which is really fabulous. So we're getting the community involved in a lot of different angles.
Wonderful. So I have a question for Myla Plus. So you submitted your project to the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge. Can you tell everyone how you learned about the challenge and how the challenge helped you improve your project? We're always wanting to know how we can get more young people, particularly young women, involved in our computing challenge.
Yeah, so I actually learned about the challenge from my sister. She had a friend who had participated in it the year prior. So when I was in 7th grade, she told me about it, and she was like, you've been programming for a few years now. Would you be interested in doing this? And I participated in a few other competitions in the past. So it was really cool for me to see that, wow, there's like this government program where it's like a competition and I can take part in it. And especially in middle school, when I had like a lot of time and, you just have that curiosity when you're younger, I was really interested in taking part in the challenge. So ever since then, every year I've been participating in the challenge. So it's been 3 years now. This year will be my 4th year, but that's how I learned about it and how it helped me. It was just really nice to listen to what other people had done, especially as I grew up. I got to see, you know, what are these other problems in the world that people are solving? How are they going about it? And it just kind of opened my eyes to problems that I hadn't noticed before or I hadn't thought of maybe as important. And it was just really nice listening to other people's stories. And I think that just also helped me in building my project because I kind of implemented those ideas and like the way they went about solving those issues and those problems into my project as well.
And I'll tell you that what we love about the computing challenge is how creative everyone is. It's always very inspiring for the adults who are participating and reviewing all of the projects. We are always amazed, and I'm glad that our participants are inspired and motivated by the different projects. That's fantastic. Commissioner.
That's awesome. And if you can tell us how we can replicate and just get the word out to more students, more young people, that would be great because we're constantly looking to expand our reach and also to reach diverse students as well to be a part of this. So we're always looking for that. Now, this question is for all of you. Is there a woman that inspires you to take on leadership? And if so, who and why? So I'm going to start with United Sound and start with our students there.
So I would say Mrs. Shell, because she's just a very inspiring role model to me. She helped me develop my dedication to music and become a part of United Sound and take on more roles of leadership, not just in music, but in all other aspects of life and school. And she's allowed me to connect with life more musically and just help music be more accessible to everyone and taught me like anyone is able to make a change in the world.
That is awesome.
For me, I would say my mom, because she is a very busy woman. She's a manager at a med spa here in town, as well as a couple other locations nearby. And she also has her own business, which really inspires me to, be a leader and do my own thing. And most days she's managing like during the week. And I think it's just so amazing that on the weekends she's able to open her store and teach other people and leave an impact on other people who want to learn from her. And I also really like to see how in her work environment, I've been there a couple of times helping in and out at the med spa. In her work environment, I like to see that she's a team player and she shows her staff how we can all work as a group and get things done. And I think that's really inspirational to me.
That's great. Is your mom on this call?
Yeah.
Mom is listening in. She's probably wiping a few tears away, but it is just awesome.
I didn't even know that I was making that kind of impact. Things like, oh my gosh, I work so much.
Oh no, that is great. So we have
Very impressive
educator, right? And we have our mom. Suchita, how about you?
For me, I would say my business teacher, Mrs. Talion. She is so sweet. She's a leader. She leads our school club's mock trial, which has done amazing in the past. Especially last year, I think they went really high in their competition. But one thing about her that like really strikes me is that she's a person who never does anything halfway. If she wants to get something done, she always puts 100% into it. She always tries her best, and she knows going in that maybe it won't always work out, but she always gives that effort and that drive. Oh, sorry. So she's just really inspirational for me. And also she's just someone that I know I can go and talk to if I have any issues, if I just want some advice on something. She always has a solution on hand and is always just ready to help out. So I would definitely say that she's my role model.
Well, that's so impressive. we have one wrap-up question for each group, and we will start with United Sound. And here's the question. What advice would you share with other students who want to take on a leadership role or do something in their community to bring about change?
These two things kind of go hand in hand. But first, like, to not give up. You know, if you want to take on a bigger role in any type of activity, don't be afraid to, put yourself out there. If you want to change something, go for it. You have to be ready to persevere through it, like any situation you might come across in order to accomplish your goal. And even like persevere even when they seem scary. It'll be worth it in the end for you and for your community. You never know what you're able to accomplish if you don't try.
I would say don't be embarrassed to share your ideas. Like Olivia said, put yourself out there. There will always be someone out there who appreciates your efforts to take the reins and display your originality to your community. And another piece of advice that I would give is be prepared. Set yourself up for success. And if something doesn't go your way, don't let that hinder your optimism to what you're trying to get done. Be prepared to be put on the spot, especially as a leader. You'll have experiences where you'll need to figure something out quickly, and that's just life. You just have to be able to be prepared for that. And part of being a great leader is setting an example for others. So I would say be a good example and make sure that you're putting your best foot forward to everyone.
Well, I don't know about you, Commissioner, but I was so impressed with both of those answers because I felt like you young ladies could be giving advice to entrepreneurs, to political candidates. It's advice that I think is universal for how to do something that is meaningful, that makes change, and how to be successful at it. And it's not easy. And I love that you recognize that you need to be optimistic, you need to work hard, you need to be prepared, because those are things that make people successful at whatever they choose to do. So Suchita, what would you say? What would you say to other students?
I would just say being a leader is super rewarding. It's very nice knowing that, you're doing something that's helping other people or you're achieving your dreams in some way, shape, or form. But knowing that, keep in mind that being a leader is not going to be easy all the time. Like you said, it is sometimes hard. Sometimes people don't respect you the way you want them to respect you. Sometimes you might plan like something hours in advance, weeks in advance, and it might still not go as per plan. And I think it's just important to realize that that's okay, and that, sometimes, things are just not going to go as what you wanted. But in the end, you learn something from that experience, and that's just something you can bring to the table next time. And being a leader, it offers so many life lessons like accountability, being respectful of other people's opinions, and just being in an environment where you can really make a change. So that's just the advice that I would have.
Well, that was fantastic advice. And I think both groups have hinted at something else. Good leaders are good listeners. And if you are listening to those around you and to suggestions, it is that listening and that will help make you successful at whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, because so many other people around you have great ideas and those need to be integrated. So both groups were hinting at that too. So what a fabulous discussion. I think I could keep talking for hours with all of you because you are all so eloquent. But we are at the end of our discussion, and for students who are watching this, if you would like to learn more about Voice for Change, you should visit the State Department of Education's Voice for Change website. For the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge, you can do a quick Google search for the websites, and we'll also post the websites on the Lieutenant Governor's YouTube page when we post the link to this discussion. So we are going to open up space for any questions. So Christine, if you're on, do we have any questions?
No questions. But just one remark. Someone says, "Hi, y'all. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join this event. So insightful. Excited for the bright futures for y'all ahead."
Oh my goodness. Yes, we are. I know the commissioner and I are very excited to see how both of these projects and so many others that the State Department of Education is working on through the Voice for Change program. And I know the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge will be going on this school year. So we'd be excited to have more people participate because all these great ideas have come out as a result of it. So I want to thank everyone. Happy International Day of the Girl. You all are role models for our girls and young women. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, see you